Welcome to the Deeper Life Bible Study, coming to you from Identity Church in Deltona, Florida. Now let us hear the expounding of the Word of God, a now word for this moment. So grab your Bible, sit back as we delve into the Word of God and hear the Logos and Rhema Word.
I kind of want to share. I felt like the Lord gave me an instruction this morning in a roundabout way. You know how God does that. And it just, I had to get up early and leave the house after I wrestled with my computer, trying to get it to do things that it should normally do. I worked on it last night and got frustrated and went to bed and figured I'd get up a little bit earlier, and I had to leave the house at 5:15. So I got up enough to try it again, and I got it halfway done. And I do thank you, sweetie. Susie actually finished the project that I needed to get finished. I don't know how she figured it out. She took a half of a program, and then I talked her through it, but it was very beneficial to me. So I got in the car and I was a little frustrated at 5:30ish in the morning, and I work in the construction industry, and there's a lot of knuckleheads in this construction industry, and there's a lot of mentality in that industry, and I fit it well. I fit it very well. And so sometimes God will speak to me. He'll speak to me in that language because I understand it. But I was on the road, and I actually figured I would probably sin against God and everybody, so I set the cruise control. And so I was kind of just sitting the cruise, and I started just praying for people. And I started praying for Pastor Pam and praying for her situation with her father. And it's a noble thing to do when you're someone's pastor. It's kind of what you should do. And so I thought I was going to get an attaboy from God for doing my due diligence of praying for Pastor Pam. And he just kind of whispered to me, he says, "That's really noble of you, but what about your father? You have no plans to see him today?" No, I really didn't. I'm pretty busy. Don't you know that? And so we had a come to Jesus meeting. And I said, "Listen, I need to go." I meet at a construction office and do a Bible study that I've done for 14 years. And I haven't been in a while. And I started driving toward the city that I was born in, that I've birthed some things in. I mean, when a Bible study keeps going for 14 years and you birthed it and the same core group is there, you did something right. And so I was comparing this core group that is still doing what God told us to do 14 years ago. And I'm their pastor. I'm their, we're excited I was coming. And I was talking to the Lord about just some frustrations. And he says, "You're a lot like my disciples." I said, "What's that?" He says, the never-ending construction project. You ever had one of those? I'm like, yeah, as a matter of fact, I have. That's why we have the mentality we have, the never-ending construction process. And so I was ahead of schedule, and I'm like, where is that? And it's John chapter 14. If we can get the words, Kevin. I'm just going to stay in John 14. I'm going to, because I got to Bible study, and that's all I did. I just started reading John 14 and just sharing, and the title of mine is "Let Not the Way, the Truth, and the Life." It starts off with, "Let not your heart be troubled." Do you realize if Jesus starts off, "Let not your heart be troubled," he's about to say something that's going to trouble you. I mean, it just hit me. Hey, I'm the God of the universe. Chucky, let not your heart be troubled. That should be, rot-roll, rot-roll. And so here it is. You believe in God, believe also in me. Don't be troubled, but if you believe in God, then believe in me. This is Jesus talking. And here's what he says. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Here's what he says. And where I go, you know. And the way you know. That's just ponder what Jesus just said. And when you really look at John 14, 15, 16, all 17, this is his final address. I'm checking out of here, dude. I've been hanging out with you for 3.5 years. If you believe in God, believe in me. But he warned him before he said that. And then he talked about this never-ending construction site. That's what God said. This never-ending project that never gets finished. That's our mentality. Why? Because we don't believe in him. And I'm like, are you still on this unbelief thing? He says, no, you are. And so in my cry on the highway was, God, I've seen fruit in Vero Beach. I've seen fruit in this. I've seen fruit in this life and that life and Pete's life. And God, but I don't see fruit in these other areas. And I'm dry. I'm frustrated. I gave my list. It's a construction punch list. If you have been in construction business, you know what a punch list is. Things that never end. But listen, here's Thomas speaks up. Thomas says, verse 5, Lord, we do not know where you are going, and how can we know the way? So he contradicts Jesus. And so I'm pondering this, and you got to realize something. Jesus says, I go to a place, I prepare this big place, and here's the bottom line, is that we've bought into that. We've bought in, the American church has bought into that, and we're trying to get our ticket punched to go to our mansion. Because he's still building a place for me. And we got this mentality that I'm going to die, I'm going to finally get to heaven, I'm going to get my mansion, I'm going to live on a cul-de-sac, there's a mountain behind me and a beach in front of me, and that's where I'm wanting to go. Why? Because he's prepared, he's a carpenter. What's that? There we go. So, but the problem is that you want to live a duplex with me and I don't. The problem is that we make that our representation of heaven. But it's isolation if you think that way. And Jesus said in verse 6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you believe in me, then you believe in him. This is a tough message at the time. We're supposed to get it, and we don't get it. And they had no Holy Ghost to get it. You got to understand, he's talking to non-spirit-filled disciples. That's a pretty good excuse. Where's ours? If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. And from now on, you know him, you have seen him. Philip said to him, Lord, show us the Father. Listen, his disciple says, Lord, show us the Father. And it is sufficient for us. And Jesus said, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me, Philip? He goes, can you hear that little snippiness in Jesus? I'm just a little ticked off with you.
I'm on the last day.
I got one nerve, and you're all over it. Can you see that in the scripture there? He's a little irritated. Philip, he who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? Jesus is absolutely rebuking them. You're looking for the Father somewhere else, and he's right in front of you in me. That's really what he's saying. He goes, quit looking for the Father. Look at me. Look at me. Do you not believe that I am in the Father? So if you believe that he's in the Father, why are you looking for the Father? You look to him. All right. The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does the work. Verse 11, believe me, I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the work themselves. Listen, he said, listen, if you can't believe this, explain all the miracles. Go ahead, explain it, he says. If you can't believe what I'm saying, explain this. And you try to explain that. You know what your explanation will be? God must be with him. If you can't believe my saying, and you can't believe that I'm in the Father and the Father's in me, explain that. Let me explain that. God must be with you. How about just in me? How about him and me and him, and right? Verse 12, most surely I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he will do also, and greater works than these he will do, because I go to my Father. This is his exit strategy. Jesus is about to leave the scene here, and then whatever you ask in my name, that I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask anything in my name, I will do it. If you love me, keep my commandments. 16, I will pray the Father, and he will give you another helper. There's your key. He's setting up the introduction of the helper. Jesus is saying, here's what he said. I was filled with the Holy Spirit when my mother got pregnant with me. I'm the one who made the baby jump into Elizabeth's womb. I was filled with the Father when I came out. You haven't been, but you're going to be. And when you do, you will understand what I'm trying to tell you. So I'm pondering all this, crying alongside the road. Thank God it was dark still. The Lord says, son, why do you think I'm still doing a construction site? I've already built these rooms. I've already built them. And guess where I built them, Chucky? In you. Why are you looking for heaven? Heaven's been looking for you. Why are you looking for your mansion and your mountaintop and your beach when it's already in you? Look to me. He said, and I don't want a mansion down the road from your cul-de-sac to where I only get invited for barbecue. I want to live in you. I want to live in the same house with you. The mansion is big enough for us to cohabitate. And I will pray the Father, and he will give you another helper, and he may abide with you forever. Verse 17, the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him, but you know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Verse 19, a little while longer and the world will see me no more, but you will see me. Why? Because I'm going to go visit him on his construction site on the inside of me. We're going to do some remodeling together. We're going to do some restructuring together. We're going to do some painting together. We're going to make it an inside job. And that day, you will know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. He's talking about a specific day. What day was that? What was that day? That was the day that the Holy Spirit filled them. The Helper came. In that day, you will know that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me, and we are in you. That day, you will know that. He said all that to say that. There's a day coming. All this stuff I just said to you, when that day comes, you'll know. So the Lord says to me, he says, have you had that day? Yeah, I have. I speak in tongues the whole 9 yards. Hee-haw. Then why you keep going looking for an off-site construction site? You're still looking for that 2,000-year-old construction site that you think I haven't finished somewhere else other than in you. So I show up to my Bible study with a bunch of construction workers. And we start this. And I just shared just pretty much what I shared. And Pete, who got divorced 8 years ago, he had just really come out of the Catholic Church and gotten Spirit-filled and was on fire for God. Found out that his wife was having an affair with a Catholic priest. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. And we'd been doing Bible study at the time for, probably 5 or 6 years. I mean, it was low. And about a year ago, he gave me a picture of his ex-wife and her live-in boyfriend. And he says, I need to have proof that they live together and I can not have to pay as much alimony. I said, why are you giving that to me? He says, because they live in DeBerry. I need proof. This is a year ago. And I had their picture. And I went by there looking for them because I'm a good friend. I'm a friend of God and Pete. A couple weeks ago, I came across it. I'm like, what am I still doing with these? And I heard the Lord just say, situation is dead. Get rid of it.
Like that. Is that happening to Bureau this morning?
I don't know. So that happened to me, but Pete starts saying, he goes, man, it's amazing what God's done over the years. And he starts giving me some accolades. And he says, you gave me a word about 3 years ago and told me to go serve God and not worry about your ex-wife and don't worry about your new one coming. If you'll go serve, and I don't remember giving him the word, but I really jacked him up about getting involved at the church that they're at, the Big Assemblies Church. And Big Pete got involved. He was I think he was one of the wise men and one of the Christmas things 3 or 4 years ago. He dressed up pretty cool. And he just got involved. And he says, last year there was this good-looking lady came in from Switzerland to see her daughter who had married one of the John B. boys. And this lady was originally from Iran and became a Christian, and she shared a testimony. Well, he got the willy eyes on her and said, man, that's just a good-looking woman. And talked to the Lord about it. You know, he's in church. And I said, Lord, I don't know how you're going to do that, but I like that. So she goes back she lives in Switzerland and can't get her off his mind. And he finally said, Lord, I don't know how you're going to do this. And he said, but I need to get around her. I need you to do something. And he goes, her daughter needs to get pregnant again. She'll come over for that baby. That's why she came over the first time. So sure enough, his daughter gets pregnant. She shows up, and Pete sees her, and she sits behind him in church, and he's like, dude, I was like a kindergartner. I didn't know what to do. I think God's in it. I don't know what I'm hearing. I don't know. But I keep hearing some of your things about if God's opening a door, you'll know that it's God. You go serve. And let God take it upon himself to reveal your new wife. So he gets a text from this lady's daughter. Now it says, do you want to go on a blind date?
Yes, I do.
And he says, I do not go on blind dates. Is this your mother? Yes, it is. Here's the long and short of it. When he was serving in this play, the daughter had an open vision of Pete and his mother worshiping together. Her mother. And she just pondered it. And got a little close to Pete, just checking him out, making sure that... And she kept it to her. So now she's over here. The mother has sisters that are Christian in the underground church in Iran. And they call because the daughter's pregnant to see how the mother is. But the sister starts telling the mother that they had a dream. And there's a man by the name of Pete who is so shy he won't pursue her. But he's the one. And describe Pete. And the daughter sitting on the couch going, I know who it is. I know who it is. And set up the blind date. Pete says to me, do you think this is God? I said, you know, Susie saw that woman on Facebook with you, and I'm supposed to be checking you out today. He goes, check it out. I want to make sure it's God. I said, if you don't think this is God, you're an idiot. You're just an idiot. I just don't want to. And so they went and they dated a few times, did this, and he says, you know what we did Saturday? What? Nothing. We just hung out. No special events, no this. We did laundry, we cleaned the house. He goes, I think we're compatible. We read the Bible, we prayed, and I said, Pete, I had to post pictures, and the Lord said that was Dad. He goes, oh yeah, that is Dad, by the way. It kind of exposed itself as his other situation. And he's just pulling on me. And he's like, man, do you know the life you've given me? You've poured Jesus to me. I watched you change. I watched you do this. And he said, this isn't a construction site that's 2,000 years old. I said, you've taught us the kingdom. You've taught us where God's at. He said, I'm the construction man. He says, you're the light man, and you know where the light comes from. And so it was just, it was really interesting how, you pursue and you go and you say, God, I need a sermon. No, you don't. You need a conversation. He said, listen, quit making me a 2,000-year-old construction site and know that I am working on the inside of you every day. And everything you need is in me, and it's already in you. And we just broke down. I mean, Ed Brenton that used to work for me, that ran my Vero store when we started at Bible study. He was there, and he was sharing, and another guy was sharing, and then Brian, and just we've come a long way. And I haven't been there a lot lately. And they're safe. These men are safe for me. And they're also honest with me. And it was really good. And I was sharing that something's going on. I've been asked to preach, I believe the 24th or 25th of this month on Saturday night, Michael Ashburn's last service in Vero Beach, where he closes his door and moves. It's a bittersweet thing. I had influence. He's been influential. He's done some things, and it's like, why me? Because the Lord said so. That's great. Thank you. Why me? And so I said, I'm asking God, why me? And around the table they said, because you had the influence of everybody that went there. And you're still close enough that when he leaves, they got you if they need you. And it's interesting that some of the players that I didn't think I had relationship with, I really do in the city. But I don't think it was really obvious to me until I did what God said and quit praying for Pam's dad only and called my dad and said, hey, I'm going by Maryland Fried Chicken. I'm getting me a gizzard dinner. Would you like a gizzard dinner? Yeah, I'll share a gizzard dinner with you. And we bought some gizzard and some chicken, and some French fry. I don't like liver. They do have them. They're good too. And I just had chicken with my dad. And he sat right there and he just cried. And he just said, I needed to see you today. I needed to see you today. And I'm like, okay. What is it about? And he's like, I've made a decision. I'm not going to move into the assisted living. And this is what I think. And what do you think? I said, Dad, listen. First and foremost, you're a fighter. And when you got to where you couldn't mow your yard, you gave it up. But you haven't quit fighting. I said, if you move into assisted living and they do everything, cater for you and do all that, you're going to lose opportunities to fight. I said, and my opinion, when you do that, you'll have the opportunity to go down quick. And so he had a brochure, and he's going to hire some people to come in, take him to church. Take him to the grocery store. And he says, I go, you got money. It's not a money issue. I said, and do that as long as you can, and if it changes, we'll make those decisions. And I said, I have no problem with that. And I realized my approval of listening and just letting him lay it out in an innocent way was what he needed. And he says, I got some people mad at me. I said, well, your last name is Coker. I said, well, why is Ron and them mad at you? And why is this mad at you? Why is that? Why? And he lists all these Christian leaders. And he says, they're all mad at me because I wouldn't marry Betty. And Betty needs a caretaker, and I just wasn't going to marry her. I said, have I ever bugged you about that? He goes, only once. And I said, do you remember the conversation? He goes, I never forgot the conversation. And I said to him, I said, number one, you're either going to marry her, but you can't fornicate. That was my conversation. So if you're going to burn, you're going to have to marry her. And so here's his answer to me when I asked him this, and he's been dating Miss Betty for 15 years. And
You didn't ask him, did you?
Ask him what? No, I said there would not be any of that going on. He said I didn't have to worry about that. I'm like, I am a pastor, trust me. So the answer, I said, Daddy, I said, I've never asked you, ever since I had that one conversation with you, why you won't marry her. Here's his answer, because she has orphanages in Haiti. She's actually in Haiti right now. She's still going and starting another orphanage, starting a whole brand new ministry. She's crazy. Here's what he said. He said it would take me 5 years to learn the Haitian language to do prison ministry. And I'm not able to do that. In Haiti. In Haiti. He said, because I can't not let her do ministry in Haiti. That's what she does. He said, so marrying would not be beneficial spiritually. And he refused to marry her for that. And I said, Dad, I've never questioned you ever since you gave me that answer. And he starts crying. Then he says, for 18 years, I've been going to the prison. He says, they just shut down Oslo. They closed it and sold it. He says, they just shut down Okeechobee. Another big ministry came in. And they're doing some live stream stuff now. I said, that's cool. And he goes, why is that cool? I said, you don't get stabbed on live stream. And they shut down Martin County. And he just starts crying. He goes, I'm done. I said, you're not done. He goes, that's been my lifeline. And I'm watching churches close. I'm watching other things move. I'm watching this happen. And I'm going, God, what is my part? He says, sometimes it's just to show up and listen. Just show up and listen. I found a lens to a pair of glasses underneath the kick plate in this kitchen. I saw it, so I picked it up and put it on the counter. So I leave and he calls. Did you see that lens? Where did that come from? So what do you mean? He goes, did you put that lens there? I said, well, yeah, I found it. Where was it? He had been looking for that lens for 3 weeks and threw away a pair of glasses yesterday because he couldn't find it, and I found it.
And the lens shows up. Oh, I find
It's gone. He said, well, got a doctor's appointment to get a new pair of glasses today. I guess I needed them. He goes, I asked God for an angel to show me that lens. He said, I just didn't wait long enough for that lens. But, and he told me again, thank you for coming. I needed you today. And so I'm like, okay, God, I need to make sure what is valuable to you is valuable to me. How am I going to hear more? How am I going to... And she had a prophecy. Karen had a prophecy about a grinder, pretty personal. And I described this grinder that is in my dad's front yard. It's a big granite old grinder. It's an old antique thing he found, and it's the ugliest eyesore I've ever seen, and it's still in his front yard. So I took a picture of it and sent it to her. And I looked at it today. And it was originally granite. The wheel was made out of granite when it was usable, but it had some nicks and cracks in it. Well, he had plastered over it because he wanted it to make it look pretty. It wouldn't sharpen anything anymore. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, all right. She gives me this crazy word, and sparks are flying, and I'm getting sharp, and it's two-edged, and it's... And the Lord says, yeah, but the wheel I'm putting you on actually is rough enough. It's not for show. It's not some trophy in the front yard. I'm putting you on a wheel that's going to create heat and sparks, and I'm going to make you sharp. I'm going to make you the tool that I can use that fits my hand, not your hand. And I'm like, oh, that's different. We keep wanting a sword that fits our hand, and he wants it to fit his hand. He wants us to be the sword. If he's in us and he's this, okay, we'll go there. And I just... I accomplished a lot, and I stopped off to another call in Palm Bay and was putting new catalogs, and I hadn't been there in a long time. I look over in the corner, it's a guy named Dave Weaver. Used to be my competitor. Actually was a coach on a baseball team when Jason was 13 that they took state or counties or whatever. It was Michael Terry's dad was coaching, and David Weaver. And he's like, what's Jason doing? He says, we got 2 months, and it'll be the 30-year anniversary of us winning this. I'm like, really? And I've been trying to figure out how to put this old team back together. I'm like, 30 years. It's like,
43.
he said it's been 30 years. He had the dates. It was
Jason's only gonna be 39.
whatever. He said 30 years. No. Here's what he said. He said in 2019 it's going to be 30 years. That's what it was. So he had the date 30 years out. He said, I'm going to get them all together. That's what it was in 2019. And he starts naming off every single kid on that team. I was like, oh, I know where he's at. What? I know where State and Grant's at. I can get. You can get a hold of him? Yeah. And he goes, you know State and Grant? And so he goes, I said, well, where's Coach Terry? He said, oh, he died. Oh, okay, Coach died. But his son owns a bar in Vero, and I'm thinking. So we start this conversation, and God comes up. He says, it was miraculous what God did with you and Susie. I told her about snowmobiling, and we're still together, and he's like, people saw what you guys went through. He said, now that's a miracle, God, that you're still together. And he starts giving testimony to people that work for him about us and the impact and seeing God and everybody counting us out. I got in my car and I said, man, Lord, did everybody count us out? Huh?
Everybody thought that was us.
Did everybody count us out? He said, son, your sin was on display just like Ricky's was Sunday. Because that bugs me that he's not healed, set free, and if I'm not careful, I'll blame me. Why can someone walk in here and walk out unchanged? I love saying that because it makes me feel better. Something's wrong. I'm telling you, if there's enough of God,
Judas stood beside him.
I understand all that, but I'm not seeing enough Judas's change yet. I'm not seeing. What I'm saying is there is a level of God. There's a level of God that becomes fruitful on its own, and I haven't seen it yet.
My point was,
Oh, yes, he did. He got hung. You know what I mean. I'm not splitting hairs here because what about the ones that did? What about Legion? What about, there's a million. Okay, Judas didn't, but many did. Peter did. Apostle Paul did.
right.
Okay, where's the transformations? I don't want salvations anymore. I want transformations. I want them to get full of the Holy Ghost and say, oh, there's a mansion in me. The construction site has now started, and there's an expiration date, and it will be finished, and it won't be 2,000 years. Because I'm going to be changed in the twinkling of an eye, and my eye is doing the twinkling. Why? Because I'm full of God. Where is this? I want to see it. I want to taste it. I want to feel it. What am I saying? I'm not satisfied. But I believe God's declared more than what we're seeing. So I'm going to get on the sharpening. I'm going to get on the stone. I'm going after whatever it takes to put me in shape to be used by God. And what has been lacquered over and plastered over that is no longer sharpened, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to get down to the core of what it takes to sharpen us, to become the tool in His hand. And we're going to stop looking for that 2,000-year-old construction site that's been finished, is finished, and He's waiting for someone to occupy it with Him. And quit inviting Him over for a barbecue once in a while and calling it a Holy Ghost meeting. And actually dwell and live with Him. That makes sense?
Thank you for tuning into today's message from Identity Church. To know more about us, go to identitychurch.net, where you'll find resources such as a calendar, media, and upcoming events. You may also download an app for your mobile device from the Apple App Store or Google Play. Then from your mobile device, you can hear our messages, read from the Bible, take notes, connect with us on the social media, and even pay your tithe. Again, thank you for tuning into today's message from Identity Church.